discuss about water and how do we conserve it and how different linkages are there between water and caves. Like today, we are going to listen about it. So I will quickly begin today's webinar with a short introduction to what Speleological Association of India is. Speleological Association of India is a non-profit organization recently registered, which is in October 21. And we are committed towards research and conservation of caves and karst in the Indian subcontinent. So as the name suggests, we are working on caves and karst, and our major objective is exploration of these ecosystems scientifically and its conservation, majorly through awareness, public education, training, ownership, and stewardship. Our webinar series is one of our major objectives, which is reaching people through our talks. To know about us and our work, you can visit our Facebook page, Insta, follow us on Insta. You can also watch our videos of our past webinars on our YouTube channel, and to know more about us, you can visit our website. I'm very happy to also tell you that Speleological Association of India is global partners to celebrate the International Year of Caves and Karst in India. And the major theme of IYCK 2021 is to explore, understand, protect these beautiful, unique, and fragile ecosystems. So this webinar series of association is a part of celebration of International Year of Cave and Karst. Today we have our webinar themed on aquifers and caves, majorly looking at the groundwater perspective, which will be given by Divyanshu Pawar. So knowing more about Divyanshu, he has done his graduation in geology and master's in ecology. His keen interest is in transdisciplinary studies. He's worked with NGOs, think tanks, with a lot of academic institutions and also consultants. His major work, also his MSc thesis, was based on urban springs. And yes, I would like to mention that he is an aspiring ecohydrologist who's also currently working on groundwater aspects of laterite plateaus. So this is all about today's webinar and our speakers. Divyanshu, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Yes, please take over. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dhansha, for introducing me. And I would like to thank Speleological Association for giving me this opportunity to present my work today. So yeah, without wasting any time, probably I will share my screen and start. Is my screen available? Like a presentation?
Yes, Divyanshu.
Yes.
You can just go for full screen. Or
this is full screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can anybody just confirm, like reconfirm?
Yeah, it's visible. You can start.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, so good evening, everybody. So today's topic is mostly related to aquifers and caves, as you all know. So knowing about the groundwater perspective specifically, and yeah, so probably if anybody can volunteer and would like to just to begin a session, would anybody like to tell what exactly groundwater is? Like whatever you know about it, just in few one-liner or something. You can unmute and say like what do you know about groundwater specifically, or what do you understand by it? Anybody? Anyone? Okay. So yeah, so without wasting any time, so yeah, what is groundwater? Like, so groundwater is nothing but it is the water which is found underground beneath the earth. So through in the cracks, in the fractures, or the spaces which are present in soil, sand, and other unconsolidated rocks. So as the diagram you can see specifically given here, you can actually understand where the groundwater is actually. So it is exactly present under the unsaturated zone, and so the groundwater is actually filling the spaces and gaps between the soil particles. So that is where actually your groundwater is present, which is your underground form of water, which people cannot see through their naked eyes unless and until some or other groundwater sources are available, uh, just like your springs. So yeah, also going further, like what exactly is the aquifer? So when we say aquifer, so it is nothing but the underground layer of permeable rock, which is actually made up of your sediments, which consist of your again gravel and sand, and soil, which actually yields it. And the pore spaces which are present in aquifers actually fill the water, and they are interconnected underground to each other so that the water flows through them, and that's how the recharge process gets continued, and that's how your aquifers are recharged and your groundwater is available for use of people. So going further, so there are different types of aquifers. Presently in geological languages, those are termed as, so one of the aquifer is termed as unconfined aquifers. So your unconfined aquifers are nothing but aquifers which actually seep water through the ground surface directly. So the water did not need to go beneath the earth and then get kind of recharged. So when you see the diagram currently here, so the pointer which I am showing is one of the pointers for wells. So your unconfined aquifers are nothing but your shallow wells, which you can see by your naked eyes. So your unconfined aquifers come under your well categories. So just to see an example, these are two pictures of dug wells and step well. So these are nothing but your unconfined aquifers, which actually are directly recharged or seeped by the water. Uh, in unconfined aquifer only, there is another type of water body which is perched aquifer, which is known as perched aquifer, which is a special case of, we call it a special case of urban unconfined aquifer. That's because the groundwater body is actually separated from the main ground, and it is relatively kind of impermeable layer, which actually comes in the zone of aeration, which is above your water table, and which is commonly consist of your shales and clays. So just to give an kind of example of it, your water tanks and water cisterns, that comes under your post aquifers. So whenever you go to some kind of rock cut caves which are present and nearby, so where you encounter these kind of water cut tanks or cisterns, they are nothing but part of your post aquifer. Another type is confined aquifer. So confined aquifer, just before beginning with confined aquifer, we would probably see what exactly the confining bed is. So probably it is a body, it is kind of a body which is has less permeable material of earth, and that is consolidated, which is located actually above and below the aquifers. So your confined aquifers are nothing but your artisans or pressure aquifers also. So these are nothing but another names of your kind of aquifers. So probably you can encounter these type of aquifers in your bore wells. So your bore wells are nothing but your confined aquifers. This is because it takes a lot of time and process to actually get recharged. So your bore wells are also one of the deepest kind of kind of water resources which is present, and it takes a lot of time to get recharged because the aquifers are more deeper. Now coming to one of the most important types of aquifers, which is your karst aquifers, and it is a separate kind of cave aquifer ecosystem, which is not so common, but yeah, it is present. So basically, karst is kind of a landscape where the bedrock is actually uh, and the network is actually interconnected between the kind of fissures, fractures, which have low permeability of rock matrix inside them. So when I say low permeability of matrix, it means the bedrock has created sinkholes, sinking streams, uh, also caves and springs, which are also few of their characteristic features which are present in them. Also, karst aquifers are specifically found in limestone, marble, and gypsum kind of rocks. Uh, not everywhere actually. So they have some kind of specific geology which goes behind the formation of it. Also, when it comes to the water part, karst is actually the ideal kind of aquifer system for storing water, as it provides a large amount of ki- uh, clean drinking water for people, plants, and animals, and it is uh, because of its kind of porous nature of karst. So actually, water quickly seeps through them, and the filtration actually happens very much quickly. So that was about the karst and aquifer system. Uh, One of the most important thing which actually comes under or caves is the spring. So most of the caves have springs in them due to its geological formations and occurrences. So just to get a little bit about idea about the spring. So basically, a spring is nothing but it is kind of a water flow which comes out of a point of an aquifer to the earth surface. Also, it is also the spring occurs because of the water pressure which is caused underground naturally, and as the rainwater enters or recharges the aquifer systems, the pressure is placed inside the water, inside the body, and that's how the water is available on ground for the in case of springs. So probably this is the diagrammatic representation of a spring formation, how actually it happens. So uh, the above hydrological cycle everybody knows. So the recharge happens inside the unconfined aquifer. So when the aquifer is filled up, there are some discharge points from the water table, and whenever there is some kind of point which when pressure is acted, a spring is formed over there, over that ecosystem. So just to mention a few uses of springs. So springs have, as we know that springs have been used for a variety of human needs, which includes drinking water, domestic water supply, irrigation, mills, navigation, also electricity generation, wherever there are high discharge springs, which can actually produce a large amount of water discharge. There have been electricity generation plants as well. Also, the modern uses of these includes recreational activities, such as fishing, swimming, floating as well. There are a few therapy units as well. There is also water for livestock and fish hatcheries, etc. Also, one of the important industries nowadays, that is springs are often used as a source of bottled water. So probably whenever you go to Himalayan regions or somewhere, whether you purchase a water bottle, probably there must be labels which are kind of associated with spring waters. So, coming to again, there are again various types of springs found all over India, all over the world. But we'll actually look into four major types of natural spring systems which are found in India actually, which are specific to Indian region or not in all over the world as well. So, first type of spring is the depression spring, which is actually so. How can someone define a depression spring? So, it is nothing but it is formed in the unconfined aquifer when the topography actually intersects the water table. As you can see in the picture, the water table is actually intersecting with the river which is flowing. So that is one of the depression spring which is found in Himalayan regions. So as these springs are formed because of the Earth's gravitational pull, are named as depressions or gravity springs as well. Also, they are found along cliffs, hills, riversides, and they are mostly common in Himalayan region. So one of the springs which are located near is Dangla village, which is in Tehri district of Uttarakhand. Second is what is your contact spring? So contact spring is nothing but it's one of the most common types of springs which you can find in urban regions as well. Uh, so the uh, so the contact springs are nothing but when there is the contact plane between the permeable and impermeable layer of rock, which also intersects with the ground surface in such a way that the groundwater is actually making a sense of the surface contact spring. So in the picture, you can see that the above part is the above part of the rock is kind of igneous rock, which is a basalt, and down there is another rock from which between the spring is actually coming out. So it is nothing but a contact spring. Then we come to fracture spring. So fracture springs are not so common, but yeah, there exist a few fracture springs as well. So fracture springs has water flowing through them from particular joints, which you can actually see inside the picture. There are numerous openings through actually which the infiltration happens and the spring flows. So fracture spring occurs in a particular system where there is interconnected of minor faults which has happened in underground, and through it the actually groundwater comes to the surface. So yeah, and of course the fourth is nothing but the karst spring. So as I said that karst is a very different and kind of a special ecosystem, and it has its own aquifer system. Uh, so yeah, the spring in the karst landscape appears more frequently in the places of contacts between the actually the carbonate masses and the impermeable layers. And most of the karst springs are seen in your cave and subterranean formations. So what actually makes a spring call it as a spring actually? So there are a few certain characteristics which a hydrogeologist look into before calling it a spring, or calling it or kind of naming it under the category of it. So of course, one is the discharge of the spring, which can be constant or variable. Second can be springs can be also perennial or seasonal. There are various springs which are actually seasonal, and they do not flow year long. But yeah, they are considered under the term springs. Also, there is certain kind of technicalities such as the discharge of a spring can vary between in a trickle to about 100 cubic per second. Also, few of the springs can be difficult in accessibility, but it can be in with very few cases the specific character. There can be variation of springs. As I mentioned, there are numerous types of springs present in India. Also, coming towards the water quality, there are the temperature of springs may vary from various atmospheric temperature, from low to high, even boiling temperatures as well. So your hot quality water springs are also one of the most common things which are present. Now coming to the next thing which I want to talk is groundwater dependent ecosystems, which is the short form is known as GDE. So probably this is the most uncommon and very less known studied subject. Like it is uptaking in other parts of the world, but very few people study actually the ecosystems which are dependent on groundwater and how crucial those ecosystems are. Probably people will have idea. Some people don't have idea, but yeah, So this specific case which I have showed here is so this temple you see is the famous Hiranyakashi temple, and what actually is flowing is nothing but the Hiranyakashi river. So it actually originates from a cave which is actually inside the temple, and it is a high discharge spring which very few people know. But it is also a river which actually starts in Amboli. So the place is near Amboli, Hiranyakashi River, and it actually goes till and meets the Ghataprabha River. So so as I mentioned that very few ecosystem based research has been done, or it is actually very few people don't know also. So there is a certain species known as Schistula hiranyakashi which was recently discovered 1 or 2 years ago in this stream which is only found over there. And so the local people and the government actually declared it as a heritage, a biodiversity heritage conservation site due to the new discovery of species, which is actually very tiny and is only found in the specific locality of Hiranyakashi River. So so these kind of studies are actually an inspiration for people to start looking at these very much neglected groundwater systems, and people needs to first know about the groundwater, how it is, what it is, how important, what kind of importance it holds in the ecosystem, and how it is related to the flora, fauna, and other types of things. So probably this is one of the sites which people can look up to or study. So this is actually the original or previous photo of the ground Hiranyakashi temple. So this is, here actually you can see the cave, and from beneath the water is flowing. So it is a contact type of spring, and it actually holds a it actually discharges a large amount of water through it. So also coming back to a different type of uh, cave system, which is Goradeshwar Cave, which is present in Pune. Uh, this cave is this is a igneous kind of cave, which is a specific lava tunnel. So there is a hill in Pune, a city which is known as Goradeshwar, where actually there exist certain Buddhist caves also on the same hill, and exactly on the backside, there you can actually see the uh, lava tunnel which actually goes deep inside. So it is almost 25 to 30 meters in length in the tunnel, and it is actually one of the finest geological formations one can actually visit near Pune. Because also one of the smartest uses of it has happened. I will probably share that. Just to get an idea, like lava tubes and channels are just a formation of lava distributaries, which are present in different type of Deccan volcanic systems. Also, it is exposed to a lot of weathering and things to happen, or it to form a lava cave. Also, the lava cave occurs in certain specific type of lava flow, which is actually known as Pahoe lava flow. So actually, just for people to know, there are two types of lava flows in igneous rocks, which is your R flow and Pahoe flow, which is very technical in terms. But these flows are very much similar to what you see in your Hawaiian volcanoes. So if anybody has seen certain videos of Hawaiian volcanoes flowing, so that are nothing but your iron Pahoe flow, which actually exists in Deccan region. Also, these are very these lava tunnel actually contains few kind of formations or structures which are specifically found in these type of lava flows, which are your lobes, which are your squeeze ups, which is again kind of a uh, kind of formations which only happen in igneous type of rocks. And so as I mentioned earlier, there is a Buddhist cave which exists over there. So people have actually carved the Buddhist caves, or they are the rock cut caves where exactly these type of lava flows are present. So it is very much easier for them to chisel these lava flows, as they contain kind of vesicular materials in them, which are kind of porous inside, and it makes them easy to cut the rock through it. Uh, which is one of the most smartest things that early prehistoric humans actually had used to actually carve out the cave. Also, these are a few of the fauna which is found in the cave. This cave was actually discovered by one of the geologists from Pune itself, and few other geographers. Dr. Sudha Vadadi, who is an ex-person retired from GSI, Geological Survey of India, which actually took them to discover this cave. So yeah, this is one of the lava caves which is present in Pune city. And yeah, that's it probably. These were two of the caves which I wanted to discuss and present. Few acknowledgements for this presentation and kind of opportunity I was given. Thank you, and probably we are open for discussion.
Thank you so much, Divyanshu. This was an incredible presentation. Let's not waste much time and come to questions. So
Yes.
I request the participants to type their questions in the chat box. So we'll begin with the first question, as I can see, by Donarun Das. Okay, so he wants to ask you that, do you have any information on Bhimkund?
Bhimkund. Probably I don't know specific location. If it's present in Chhattisgarh or somewhere like Madhya Pradesh.
Yes, yes, Divyanshu, it's in Madhya Pradesh.
Yeah,
So,
right.
yeah.
So yeah, probably. So it is one of the so it is one of the subterranean habitats as well. It is actually a natural tank which is formed over there. So I have not visited that particularly, but yeah, I have read a lot about it. People actually relate that to the Mahabharata era, and specifically to that. But yeah, it is a natural tank actually, and for sure, the kind of geology which is found over there, it is sandstones and other stuff. So yeah, so it is part of or part of most probably the contacts of springs which is found over there. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
So shall we go on to the second question?
Yeah, we can.
So Arjun CP asked that, did you observe any fishes in these caves? So I think he means in the
Yes,
lava
yes.
tunnels. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, almost like in every cave, I have actually came across two kind of fish species. I don't know exactly what their names are. Probably I have not identified them as well. So there are two types of fish species which actually are very much observed in these caves as well as springs. So one of them is which actually flows kind of in between the water, and which is actually below land. So kind of the fish actually touches the land, and one it does not kind of uh, it does not it does not come over the land, and one is just above the kind of water. So there are two types of fish species which are very much commonly found over there. But yeah, the IDs has not been done till now. But yeah, I have few photographs of them. Uh, yeah, that's something which I observed.
Okay. So coming to the next question by Srikant Wag.
Mhm.
He asks that, how different are hot springs from the springs you described in this presentation?
So your hot springs and so actually there I forgot to mention that there are two types of springs. One is your cold springs and one is your hot springs. So the ones you all saw that are part of your cold springs. And the one is what Mr. Wag is mentioning is hot spring. Those are actually part of some hydrothermal or geothermal activity, which actually came in emergence due to the heating of groundwater. And that depends on the tectonic activity which happens or which has happened previously. So there is involvement of tectonic activity, and of course the geothermal element and heating of groundwater. But that is in very few kind of belts of India, and that has some kind of reasons again related to very specific tectonic activities or fractures which have occurred in the regions. Yes.
Oh, okay. So we have another question from Das. So any cave system you have encountered so far which has a potential for further submerged passages?
Cave system we have encountered so far with potential? No, specifically, I have not observed any such or any other ecosystem cave system specifically. But there is a high chances of having submerged passages due to high erosion and water seeping down in karst caves specifically. So these kind of passages can mostly be found in karst systems of aquifers. That I can for sure tell you. It is just that you have to look for it.
Okay, so coming to the next question by Manoj sir. So is ground-dependent ecosystems a recognized classification in ecology?
Uh, Actually, it is recognized in ecology specifically. It is more related to wetlands. I would like to say there has been a lot of research going on in US. Probably New Zealand, and there is a specific university of University of Waterloo which actually works where actually there is a good group of ecohydrologists which works on groundwater dependent ecosystems. And unfortunately in India there is technically no one working uh, on at least cave dependent ecosystem at least groundwater dependent ecosystems specifically and extensively on that. Like people have started with ecohydrology based interventions and research, but there is still a lot more gap in terms of awareness and this classification being actually recognized. uh, yeah, that's it.
So I can see another one, another more like interesting question.
Can I add to something, Divyanshu, if you are
Yes,
okay?
yes sir.
Yeah. So this is Shirish. Uh,
Yes, yes.
uh, it is interesting, like what you have explained that about the groundwater ecosystems in subterranean groundwater ecosystems,
Right.
and it is true that not much work is going on. But then
Yes.
recently, being part of a government organization, we
Right.
have initiated dialogues with Ministry of Environment Forest,
Mm-hmm.
and now, unlike earlier, where
Hmm.
Ministry of Environment Forest thought that India doesn't have any subterranean wetlands,
Right.
now actually they are aware that there are some bodies called subterranean wetlands, and ministry is planning to take some strong steps and start some detailed work on subterranean wetlands with Salim Ali Center, and
Mm-hmm.
obviously even speleological association is involved in those discussions.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, this is one of the upcoming field in India,
Right.
where now people are slowly getting aware. But you were right saying that there is not much awareness,
Yes.
and even there is not much awareness among the forest officials or among the general
Yeah.
people.
Exactly.
So this is one of the major objectives where even Speleological Association is working right now
Okay.
about awareing people about subterranean wetlands and also initiating some detailed works. That's what I just wanted to add in because the topic has
Right.
come up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shirish sir, for adding up. Like sir said, Speleological Association of India is aimed at awareness and education of
Exactly.
people and related topics. So yeah,
Right.
this webinar is also part of that awareness series. So yes, coming to the next question, we have an interesting question from Shreya Suryavanshi. So she says it was a news that Indonesia is shifting its capital, and the reason is the capital is sinking. So
Right.
can you tell us how groundwater crisis can lead to such problems and also some suggestions for conservation?
Uh, yeah. So basically, of course, groundwater crisis actually can lead to this kind of migration happening. See, because groundwater is like, just to tell you, since 1980s, there has been a big hike in groundwater extraction all over the world. Uh, Very much specific to India, it has been a lot, and other countries as well. So just because there has been a lot of groundwater resources which have been built upon human interventions being actually there. Also, a lot of heavy urbanization actually causes the demand and supply of groundwater. So the more population dynamic increases and the demographics of it, the more extraction happens over there, because they are not able to kind of manage the water resources which are present. And there are various reasons again behind it. It actually depends from region to region to different things. So also there is full potential of groundwater crisis happening and such things happening in future. Coming back to the second phase of it, like some suggestions for conservation is that probably what from my experience I can tell that specific to India, if you see, we have a lot of groundwater extraction happening, and there are a lot of bore wells actually which are drilled down. So see, India is not a country where actually there is a lot of crisis of water everywhere. We have enough water to cater our needs, but it is just that we have been puncturing the groundwater very much extensively actually. Uh, so we need to actually have good policy frameworks to actually cater the groundwater needs in India. From And the policy actually changes from different region to region depending on the conditions and uh, all other various things which actually happen. And so it is very necessary for us to get engaged, get aware of groundwater, what exactly is happening in our city. We should know regarding the groundwater, how much extraction is there. We should question officials, the local governments, what exactly they are doing in terms of managing the water, managing the groundwater, what they are doing in terms of some recharge initiatives in your city, which is very much important. All your other factors like urban planning and other things also come in consideration for city specific things, which the government should consider, and we being citizens, we should probably question them, ask who is actually kind of informed, or who can actually convince the government what should be done, what should not be done, and etc. etc. There are many things. There are not much things. There are actually many things which you can do. It depends upon, again, very much specific to the region.
I totally agree with you, Divyanshu.
Right.
And I think just adding to this, like we as an individual also should take care of how, as a person, we can contribute in saving groundwater and how to protect it. So
Right.
uh, maybe this is my personal question, like how as an individual can I protect these groundwater ecosystems?
Probably as an individual, see if there is something happening in your city related to groundwater. like just for example, I would share. I've been interning and working with an organization known as Aquadam, which actually is one of the oldest organizations which works on groundwater, very much specific to aquifers all over India and out as well. So in Pune, we run a citizen science initiative in collaboration with Aquadam, which is known as Rain Enthusiasts. So we actually uh, calculate and measure rainfall every monsoon season since past 3 years. So this is the third year, and I have been an active participant as a citizen myself in that initiative because it is very important to know how much rainfall is actually getting in specific regions of Pune city or any region that for that matter, and how much is exactly getting recharged or it is going as runoff. Is It is a very much crucial data, and citizens are aware, or citizens are participating in it. And there are almost 40 stations which we have set up in individual houses, housing societies. Children are involved, and all are common citizens. Like hardly there are any trained geologists or hydrogeologists who are actually in that group. And it is kind of a very crucial data because in a Pune city specifically, IMD has set up only 3 to 4 rain gauges in Pune city, which probably hardly someone can rely on that kind of data to actually get an idea of how much rainfall is happening, or how it can actually be correlated with groundwater, how it is important. So such citizen science initiatives, probably you can run, you can be a part of your city, or you can own start, because these type of data help very much in designing the policies or urban planning or anything which is related to city growth or groundwater in specifically. As I have worked extensively on urban groundwater specific to Pune, like it's been 3 years I've been working with Aquadam on urban groundwaters. So I've been actually monitoring springs over there. And in a city like Pune, there are 35 springs which are perennially flowing. And it is shocking, as well as there needs to be some kind of conservation done for it. You can actually, there are various NGOs who actually work only related to rivers or lakes or streams. You can be associated with them, or you can have individual level, you can have rainwater structures mm, at your own place, or housing societies, but you need to be sure, like where you are putting the rainwater harvesting systems, because it is a very big problem that not necessarily you put your rainwater harvesting system and you will just recharge the aquifers. It needs to be put in a place where actually recharge of the water happens. So you need to be aware of certain facts before acting upon certain things. Yeah, probably that's what I want to say.
Thank you, Divyanshu. At least I believe everybody of us got an idea of how we can contribute to the groundwater conservation.
Right.
So coming to Amrita's question, so can you
Yes.
share one of your best experiences while exploring springs or caves?
Probably best experiences yet to uh, be encountered, I would say, because there is very much of less cave exploration I've done, actually, very to be very much specific. Like it's been hardly 2-3 visits or 2-3 explorations, I would say. So probably we'll have to wait for another webinar, I think, in next few years to answer this question, I would say. But to be
So
very serious, like I have not experienced any such experience. Like, of course, to see a cave or to visit a cave in itself is a different experience in all, and it is very, very good. Like,
So I believe this gives us one more chance to have one more webinar of yours. Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure,
So we'll just quickly come to the next question by
yeah.
Mrityunjay. Can you comment on probable contamination in karst topography or natural springs, especially in the ones that you have seen?
Mm, to be very, I've lucky enough, I would say I have not seen contamination in the springs. I have in the caves and the caves related springs I have seen, because they are very much far from the human habitations and are kind of in pristine places. So there has not been a specific contamination. But yeah, contamination can be of like it can come through leaching of rocks and other things also. So there are like two cases of contaminations happening. One can be naturally, which comes from rocks. So it actually depends on different rock settings, which actually leads to contamination also. And second is human intervention, as everybody knows. So like you can see fluoride contamination, then a lot of pesticides being used in agriculture. So that actually, so whenever there is rainfall or recharge happening, there is some content of contaminated materials which is for sure getting recharged. A lot of contamination actually happens in your in the regions of Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, where actually a lot of mining activity actually happens. So mining is one of the reasons for contamination. There are various types of uh, various reasons actually for contamination, which can actually. But personally, I have not seen, lucky enough to not see any kind of contamination through my eyes.
So I think that is a good news for all of us, that most of our springs are like not
Yeah,
contaminated
exactly.
yet. Yeah, and maybe we should continue uh, to protect and
Exactly.
preserve them. Yeah.
Right.
So we have another question from Kiran. So what confined and unconfined aquifers are? I'm not. Can you just read the
Okay,
answer? I'm not.
what confined and unconfined actually
Aquifers are, yeah.
require or meet one another? Is there any process
Process with,
to take
yeah.
recharge of unconfined aquifer by confined aquifer? Okay, I'm also not getting the question what exactly it is. So, but
Kiran, if you're online, can you
yeah,
just
in just
ask?
yeah.
Kiran, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, is there any
Okay.
chances of recharging unconfined aquifer by confined aquifer?
Uh, see, you can actually so there is no specific system that it can actually be like the confined aquifers can be recharged. But yeah, uh, there is a chance of getting. See, it depends on the actually time period. So it takes a lot of time for confined aquifers to get recharged, because the reason one being they are too deeply inside the earth surface. Also because like I told you, borewells are part of borewells are a part of confined aquifers, which actually are very deep inside the earth, which take a lot of time to recharge, because it is not a 1 year or 2 year process which it can take 10 years, 20 years, it can take decades actually. So you actually cannot combine both of them, but there is a very much high chances of unconfined aquifers being recharged on a rapid rate. And it can confined aquifers can be recharged, but it takes a lot of time. So better not use borewells or certain things.
So I believe Kiran is satisfied with your answer.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Kiran, for your question. Saili has a comment, a very interesting comment. She says that religious sentiments have protected some such springs and caves, but lately they are polluting due to change in rituals. So,
Yeah,
yeah. So even I totally agree to her
exactly.
sentence.
So yeah, like there are few religious sentiments which actually like, so there is a lot of, or there caves are being kind of polluted in due to these rituals, because there is a lot of use of your oil, your milk, or in fact all your nirmalya uses as nirmalya things as well. So probably there needs to be a better management system, or there needs to be certain policies which should be very much be strict and followed. Not strict also, but because I have seen that certain policies are implemented, but no one follows, or no one follows the rules and regulations very seriously to it. So there needs to be a certain management system of these caves which do have the religious sentiments. Also, another thing is like there is a lot of tourism pressure as well. So like in few caves in India which actually are related, which are open for tourists as well. So uh, that is also one of the concerns which I see in future, where actually government needs to set up good system management systems in terms of managing of these caves for conservation, so that these kind of pollution activities or which can be stopped or which can be at the lowest as possible.
Thank you, Divyanshu.
Yes.
Are there any more questions? All right. So yeah, so this webinar was an exciting journey into the worlds of caves, aquifers, and the details of groundwater springs, their types, which you gave was like absolutely new for all of us. Uh, it was also astonishing to know, how the springs begin like inside the caves, and like rock cut caves have springs, and
Right.
they support such a unique and endemic biodiversity.
Right.
So yeah, I thank you again, Divyanshu, for sparing your time and telling us, actually enlightening us with the specifics of groundwater and the caves. I also thank all the participants for attending this webinar and encouraging Speleological Association of India to conduct more such exciting webinars on various topics related to caves and subterranean ecosystems. Thank you everyone again. And don't forget to leave your feedback on this link, like you can see the link, and also follow us on our different social media handles to stay updated with our different activities. Thank you so much. Have a very good evening and happy monsoon to everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Divyanshu. Thanks,
Yeah.
thanks a lot.
Thank you, everybody.
So I request all the participants to leave the meeting, except the members of the association, and the speaker can stay.